Welcome, Cowboys Nation, to Game Day Live, the post-game show presented by Callahan Motor Company. The Dallas Cowboys suffer their first defeat since Week 1, 26-17. Hard-fought effort on the way back, but not enough. A little too late, as they say, Jesse. And they walk away 4-2. Strangely enough, third place in the NFC East. So it ended up being a big game due to the win with the Giants. But here we are, Cowboys 4-2. The Eagles remain unbeaten. 26-17. Well, kind of went the way you thought it would go if Dallas got behind the way they got behind. They tried, they fought, they got back, they made it, 17-20.
Yep.
And then just a really good drive by the Eagles where they just ran. We were talking about it, like, they don't really want Hurts to throw the rock right now, likely because the pass rush got on him before, and they didn't really need to throw the ball because they were running it down Dallas's throat. And then they couple play actions, and next thing you know, it's 26-17.
Yeah, and in that second half, when Lane Johnson went out with the concussion, that changed things tremendously because they felt confident enough to line Lane Johnson one-on-one up with Michael Parsons, and that allowed them to do so many different things because they felt that was going to be a matchup that they would at least not get dominated on. And when they had to go to the backup, then they had to go to their backup left guard, it changed the way that they kind of went about business offensively, and the Cowboys kind of ramped it up a little bit and started not playing desperately, but knowing that the clock wasn't on their side, and they began to kind of try to heat Jalen Hurts up. But there were two main drives in this game. It was the third possession in the first half, and it was the last possession that Philadelphia had to go up 26-17. And I called them both. They were Beanie Siegel drives. They were Broad Street bully drives, and Dallas really just got put on their heels. And Philly, they didn't want to pass, and they had no reason to pass. And even their touchdown pass, we were sitting here talking, and I was like, wow, that is how you set up. That was a great play, but that's how you set up a play. All game long, read option, read option. Oh, read option to A.J. Brown in the flat. Oh, read option to the tight end. Read option, read option, read option. Oh, read option, you think you're going, boom, touchdown. And that's one of those plays you can only run once a game, and you've saved that for the right moment, and they got down to the red zone, and it worked for them. But you know what? I didn't want to lose to Philly, but I'm not truly upset at this loss.
Oh, we said they were playing with house money in a way.
Like, currently constructed, Philly's a better football team. The way the Cowboys are currently constructed. Now, when it comes back,
I was about to say,
that's currently constructed. I
think everybody believed that. Cooper Rush is the quarterback.
Right. And that you saw today, for all of those who had the Cooper Rush this and Cooper Rush that and the controversy, there was never any controversy. There was lipstick that was put on the pig for a couple of weeks, and winning disguised it. But eventually, the makeup comes off the face. And you go back and you watch those who actually go back and look at tape and look at film, not just what someone else puts out there, and you go and see. There were the last probably 3 out of the 4 games. There were moments in that game where Cooper Rush absolutely should have had 3 or 4 interceptions. The team just blatantly dropped them. They hit their hand, whatever it was. The penalties brought them back. But tonight, you dealt with a situation in Darius Slay and those other guys where they didn't let your mistakes slip by. They actually were on top of them and made you pay for them.
It is rare that you see the Cowboys rush for 134 yards and lose. It is always that magic number that people talk about. Dallas rushes for
25 attempts
sometimes, or they run for 100 and something yards. They're undefeated. I wonder if this is the first loss in that instance. And they scored a touchdown, too. Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, 13 carries, 81 yards for Zeke, 11 carries, 44 yards for TP. Those are good rushing numbers. And even CeeDee Lamb had an end around that went for 8 yards. So, they ran the ball well. But you didn't get any help in the passing game, aside from, one series, really, 1.5 series, what have you. Cooper Rush, 18 for 38, 181 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions. Check this out, 0 sacks. You run the ball for 134 yards, and you don't get sacked, and you lose by 9 points, could have been 10 or 11 points, that whole they went for 2 situation. That's just weird things happen with Dallas.
But this is what we've seen. Like, let's take away the last series. You got to go out there and pass, right? So let's just say give or take 60 yards. This is what we've seen the last couple weeks. It just has not been. The interceptions have just been missed. This is the exact same thing we've seen in the last couple weeks. You're running for a good average. He's passing the ball for 18, 20 times, whatever.
Just didn't get the turnover.
The turnovers was the only thing that we kept. Excuse me, I'm back now. The only thing that we kept getting lucky on was the turnovers, and they were there. The penalties brought them back. Other guys dropped. They were there. But today, that's the thing. You can't play with fire that much and not get burned. Today, finally, the fire caught up with them, and they got burned for 3 interceptions.
And again, another, this is going to sound surprising, 40% today on third down is actually their highest third down conversion rate all year. I think all season. So they were 4 for 10. They were 1 for 6 in the first half. In the second half, they went 3 for 4. So they got better in the third down efficiency in the second half, but it clearly wasn't enough. And that's kind of what's been happening the last 5 weeks now, right? Where there's a series where they're converting on third down and they get points out of it. But then the rest of the game, for whatever reason, they're not. And what happens, that keeps the defense on the field. When the defense is on the field almost 10 minutes more, they had the ball for 34 minutes. You had the ball for 25 minutes. Eventually, you're going to wear down, man. That's just how it is. You can't continue to ask your defense for 5 weeks in a row to continue to bail you out from a fatigue standpoint. So again, another week where the offense just didn't quite get enough. 17 points, believe it or not, is the most points by the offense in quite some time. I want to say since week 3 against the Giants, maybe. I think it was the Giants week. They scored a lot of those points because they didn't get a lot of turnovers. This game right here, the Cowboys offense had to earn it. And the Eagles defense made them earn it, and it was just a little bit too late in that second half, and the Eagles offense wore down that defense. And I don't want to call anything a blueprint. See, y'all, but if your offense can't sustain drives, I don't care how good your defense is, man. Eventually, it's going to wear down. And that's, if you want to call it a blueprint, I guess that's the blueprint.
Well, it's hard to have a blueprint defensively when you don't have a Jalen Hurts type quarterback. Now, if you have a Kyler Murray, if you have a Lamar Jackson, if you have a, if you have that kind of quarterback, then there is something that you can look at and go, man, if we run more RPOs, we can do something like this.
Right.
Most teams don't have a Jalen Hurts.
And it's not like he was that good on the ground. I mean, nine carries, 27 yards. It's just the threat of it. It's just the threat of him running that holds that linebacker, that holds that defensive end. And that's what, if you go back and probably chart their rushing yards, I guarantee you 98% of them came out of RPO, if not 100% out of the read option, man.
No, you're absolutely right. And then that then played into, and what I was meaning by at halftime was it had the same effect as a play action, was that linebacker had to step up. And when that linebacker had to step up for that ROP moment, that run pass option moment, that moment,
RPO,
it allows then for the pass behind. And they were able to hit that. And so it literally put this defense kind of on his heels for the entire game. And you know, outside of that part of when they kind of turned it up and blitzed them a little bit, it was them dancing around it.
And it's tough. It sucks because I thought the defense gave their best effort. You know, there was 2 drives in this game where the Eagles really drove on them. And again, if you come into a game and say, hey, there's going to be 2 drives that an offense is really going to put on you throughout the entire game, I think you would come away like, all right, I'm okay with that. You know, that's going to happen. It's football. But then you give them 2 or 3 other free possessions on your side of the field, the 2 of the 3 on your side of the field. What do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, hey, listen, at the end of the day, though, we want to bring this back. You know, the game is the game. It wasn't great offensively. It wasn't great defensively. And the Eagles did cover. At the end of the day, because I'm pretty sure 4 will be back. We haven't even brought that up. If you say after week 1, you're going to go into week 7. You're going to go into week 7, 4-2 at home for Dak Prescott's return. You would have said, I will take that all day and tomorrow.
I would have not even hesitated.
All day and tomorrow.
I would have said, give it to me right now.
Yeah.
What do I have to give for that?
Everything that the Cowboys want is still in front of them. Mm-hmm. You will see this team again, and I promise you things will look a lot different than they did. We'll get the tape again. We haven't rewatched this. We say this all the time or anything like that. We will get the tape tomorrow, and we will watch. I'm pretty sure we'll say, you got one. You got us. Mm-hmm. You got him. You understood what you was going up against with this quarterback. And I said this before. I don't know if it was on the pregame show. I don't know if I said it on our show, on my show. I'm sorry. throughout the week. This was going to be different than any start he's ever had because it's Sunday night in Philly, a rival game, and it was a big game moment, 4-1, 5-0. He's never had to deal with that yet.
This is a good, Philly's a good football team. Like, tonight wasn't those, you didn't get beat by a team that's like, I saw somebody in the chat say that Philly's offense is gimmicky. No, that's what they do.
That's who they are. It has some gimmicky things to it, but that's who they are. Stop it then.
Like that style of offense is what they do. There's no trickery. They're not trying to do it. This is what they do.
It's annoying,
but they do it very, they do it very well. And defensively, that's a really good defensive unit. Up front, on the back end, they have good players. The Cowboys did not lose to a team tonight that you can look up and go, man, we shouldn't have lost to them jokers. This is a good football team. It is.
Yeah.
And guess what? When it comes back at the end of the year in December, there'll probably still be a good football game. It's going to be a good football game when you play this team because they have good players offensively and defensively. So that's the part that's the part for me right now. I'm saying, you know what? Yeah, we lost, but I'm not tight about the loss. Like that just doesn't really even kind of matter to me because I'm like, this team can go out and still win football games. Like you said, everything else is in front of the Cowboys. This is just a glitch in the matrix. And guess what, man? You just won 4 straight with your backup quarterback. That is an anomaly. Like, that doesn't happen most times. If you would have went 2-2, if you would have told me we would have went 2-2, I'd be like, give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that heading into this game. Give me that. But they won 4 in a row. They lose this game. You're now coming back next week with your starting quarterback, with a team that is looking for that firepower. And there are some plays in this football game that if you had Dak Prescott, and mainly the one being when CeeDee Lamb beats him down the left sideline, Cooper Rush doesn't have enough arm to get it out there. Dak gets that out there. He goes, that's my one-on-one coverage.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at this safety, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to throw it out there right now before he even gets over there. That's what you get when you're starting quarterback, and that changes the game because that now makes it, if the score was the same, right, it's a touchdown. And now the pressure is back on Philadelphia to do what they have to
24 to 26.
So
changes things.
Yeah, I'm not mad at this win. I'm not mad at this loss. I mean, this is honestly, it's kind of like, all right, cool. All right, they beat us. Cool. Got a backup quarterback. It's a really good football team. We'll regroup. We'll come back. Detroit, Chicago. We'll head into the bye, and then we'll really get this thing rocking and rolling.
Yes. How do you respond on it, man? This is the post-game show presented by Callahan Motor Company. Come on, Callahan Motor Company. Get up in there. Callahan Motor Company is the finest, most quality-oriented pre-owned dealership in the DFW area. As a family-owned and operated business, they have served the public since 2009. From sales, trade-ins to finance, you can count on Callahan Motor Company. With over 150 vehicles regularly in stock, over 25 different brands. Visit Callahan Motor Company in Keller, Texas, or CallahanMotorCompany.com to find your ride today. Yeah, I'm with you. I think this one here, they regroup. Sometimes you got to see how you bounce back, right? Mm-hmm. We saw what happened week 1. They definitely, to me, felt like they were hungry and determined to bounce back, and they did. They went on a 4-game winning streak with their backup quarterback. Right. And as we kept saying throughout this whole entirety of this streak, you're just going to get better because you're going to get better at the most important position, right? And you're getting guys back. Michael Gallup is now getting in the swing of things. James Washington will be back here. Jason Peters didn't play as much, but he's getting back in the swing of things. I don't walk away from this thing discouraged at all. I just don't.
No, I don't either. But you mentioned a name that I do want to talk about, and that's Michael Gallup. And I'm a little concerned about Michael Gallup. And I know that he's had some plays and made some plays before, but when I watch Michael Gallup run routes where he has to burst, stop, and then burst again, he looks laboring. And I don't know if that's just still the recovery and getting his sea legs back, but he just doesn't look like a comfortable route runner. And the first interception that they got, the first part of that was a bad route by Michael Gallup. He ran the curl route, and, I mean, it was a laboring route, and it took him 3-4 steps to get out of his break. When you're playing against a quality cornerback like the Eagles have, and you take that many steps to get out of a break on an off-coverage dude who's looking through you at the quarterback, so he sees when the quarterback gets to that fifth step, now he's driving. He broke on the ball before Michael Gallup broke on the ball. Like that had no chance of being a completion, and then Cooper Rush compounded it by throwing it inside. And then you saw the same thing he ran a curl route later in the football game. I'm going to keep watching Michael Gallup. Yeah, it's one thing to run straight really fast, but when you have to run, break down, and then start running again, he hasn't found his legs just yet.
To me, that is not surprising me, man. I've talked to so many people with those type of injuries, and you listen to people that have had those injuries. Malik Hooker on the damn team. It takes like a year. You're really not you until the following year. Right? Like you are healthy enough to go out there and play, but you're not really you until the following year. And I don't know if that's just knowing your guy, right? Maybe we shouldn't be running this route with him, but he's out there, so he's got to execute the route tree or it'll be a tell. You know what I'm saying? But I still believe in Michael Gallup being out there is better than him not being out there. Maybe just put him in better situations. You know, I think we talked about it in the pregame. I still don't know that I've seen much of a slant from him, which is something that he was killing with you know, the slant and the 9 route. And a lot of people believe that he's the wide receiver one on this team. I beg to differ. I still think that's CD because I think he's more of a complete wide receiver. But it wasn't a great showing for Gallup. But I don't know how much is on him, how much is on the Q. He had 7 targets a day, only 2 receptions for 18 yards, so I missed out on that one there, man. Yeah. CeeDee Lamb had 5 for 68, and most of that came in at, I think, that 24-yarder at the end. Ferguson, if we want to talk about some good things here, the tight ends had 6 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown, and Jake Ferguson had a beautiful touchdown reception where he gets it like that there and runs up into the end zone. So something good to come out of this offensively, your tight ends, I think.
No, you're right, and you brought it up in the pregame about how those guys played well on the road against the New York Giants, and they just came back and did the same thing. But again, this all goes back to the quarterback. Is you can't get the type of productivity that you want from these playmakers when your quarterback isn't that good. Like he isn't that good. And again, there's 18 completions on the docket today. But you take back when a team gets into that prevent defense, where they're saying, hey, we're going to give you everything in front of us. We're going to tackle you. We're going to lay on you a little bit longer, keep you from going out of bounds, and let the clock run. You're talking about an entire football game where he threw 18 completions. And
10 last week.
That's what I'm saying. Probably 6 or 7 of those were garbage time. So you're talking about maybe 2 weeks in a row where you're having less than 13 real completions.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. This is 3 weeks in a row where he hasn't completed 19 completions. Against Washington, it was 15 for 20-something or other, but he had 2 touchdowns in that game, the CeeDee Lamb one and the Michael Gallup one. But again, 15 completions. It wasn't like he was out there dotting them up. And the next week 10, and then this week 18 in quotations because that series they were just kind of giving them to you. And 3 interceptions, very very easily could have been 4. So yeah, it's just you kind of sensed it.
Yep.
I want to recant what I said in the pregame show, but I just felt I just need one more. I just need you to sneak out one more. But it all came crashing down, and it is what it is, man. But let's get to the Turf Tough matchup of today and talk about who kind of won that battle here. The Turf Tough matchup was Micah Parsons versus Jalen Hurts here. And I would probably say Jalen Hurts won that matchup. And not even really because of what he did from a passing standpoint. He had 155 yards on 15 completions, but he had the 2 red zone touchdowns. It was more so with the ball, kind of just the ball. I don't want to say magic, but the RPO holding Micah. I mean, that helped. That absolutely helped. Now, Micah did have 7 tackles, I think 3 solo and a tackle for loss. It was damn good tackle for loss, but he didn't make the impact play that you're used to seeing him make, and I think a lot of it had to do with the RPO just kind of getting busy on the Cowboys, man.
Yeah, it froze Micah. It kept the Lion at bay just enough so where he couldn't be as disruptive, right? That's what Micah Parsons gets and makes his just creating mass confusion, creating mass destruction, and when you can't do that, then now the rest of the guys can't get into their groove. can't get into their bag because you're not creating that normal chaos that you would normally make. And that's what they've done today. They when they lined up Micah at the end of the line of scrimmage, and they did that a lot today, they just said, we're just going to make you make a decision, bro. Like, you're either coming or you're not. And if you're coming, I'm giving it. If you think I'm going to give it, then I'm going to keep it. And that kept Micah, again, just pausing for one split second. And then in the first half, Micah went up against a good offensive tackle. Lane Johnson is a really, really, really good offensive tackle. And you saw the difference between when Lane Johnson wasn't in the football game and when he was in the football game. And you couple all that together, you just have one of those games. And again, being on the field for an extended period of time over and over and over again, trying to generate that energy, you're asking him to really, we say he's an alien, but you're really asking him to be an alien.
And when you don't there's two ways to me to force a team into being one-dimensional in a negative way. Either you just literally shut them down, or you score to the point where you force them to say, hey, I got to throw this ball.
Right.
They were never in that position. Not one single minute, second, whatever, were they in the position to where they felt that we got to throw this ball. Hence why they ran the damn thing 40 times.
Yeah. They Broad Street bully.
That rarely happens. Now, I don't think you're going to run into a team like this again in the sense of when their quarterback rushes it 9 times or can do the whole RPO thing and you have to account for it. So that favors in you. Now, I know we'll go up against the Justin Field, but this is not the same thing. This is not nearly the same thing. But what I mean is this offense compounded with the skilled players, compounded with the defense and the philosophy and identity, they know who they are, right? And that's what makes it tough. It's said it so many times. They don't do anything special pre-snap. They're creative post-snap, and that's why you got to corral that run game, because if you don't, they'll just keep doing it, and then they'll play off of it. So I feel like the next time this happens, there'll be a different feel to this thing. I think Philly will feel like we might have to score a little bit here, because when we go look at the tape, they'll see the opportunities in there. We just didn't get it done, man. We just didn't. That was a Turf Tough matchup presented by DFW Turf. Where you at, DFW Turf? Boom, there you go. You know what's worse than a Cowboys loss, Jesse?
Nothing really.
Spending hours every week mowing your lawn and spending thousands of dollars every year on lawn maintenance just to have a yard that dies during the summer and gets muddy when it rains. But if I told you can have a yard that looks green and clean as the turf the Cowboys play on, hit up DFW Turf Solutions. Your perfect lawn is only a call away. They're the #1 artificial grass company in the DFW area. They install the highest quality residential turf at your home and give you the yard of your dreams. So hit up DFW Turf Solutions at dfwturf.com today, or call them 940-365-9165. All right, Jesse, on the way out of here, man, what are you looking for next week? Just kind of quick little tidbit here.
Dak's back. What you mean? What am I looking for?
I was trying to bury the lead a little bit.
What do you mean? What am I looking for? I'm looking for the $40 million man to come back. But you know what? I will say this. Even when Dak comes back, there has to be a level of expectation, realistic expectation. You know, you talk about he's only played 3 quarters in the last 8 months, 7 months.
I was telling you before the game, I said, honestly, Detroit and Chicago is like preseason, regular season games. I mean, I'm not saying treat it that way.
Right.
But I mean, like, repetition-wise, he needs these reps.
Right. No, he needs the reps. And so I'll just say I'll caution the fans, if he comes back and he misses a few throws here and there, it's a couple of things. It's getting the confidence back that he can go out there and play, you know, believing that the thumb is fully healthy. And then there's just a sheer rust. Now, I pray for no losses in that time, because then I know you guys are all coming with the pitchforks and tiki torches.
Oh, they already going back now. He played like crap week 1. He ain't play like this.
So
he play like this.
So I'm ready for him to get back, because I want to see what an offense can do at its full potential matched up with that defense. I think that is that'll get me excited for the playoff. That'll get me excited, like, okay, now I see what this can be, and give this a couple more weeks to kind of just round into form. And then once we hit our stride in December heading into January, that's when you can see this thing really turn up.
I think Dak's the low-hanging fruit, but I'm more interested to see how does Kellen now. It's funny to say adapt to getting this guy back. Like, is Kellen going to stick to the balanced offense? Right? We talked about this before the game. I don't worry about Dak Prescott in the sense of remaining balanced because he did this before. I worry about Kellen getting itchy, like, oh, I got my guy back now. Now we can go, hey, our kills aren't runs. Our kills are to a different pass. You know what I'm saying? Or in the install for that week, oh, this Detroit Lions defense is trash, so we're going to come out here and try to attack this and that. Relax. You found an identity, right? Now build on top of that identity with 4. Because we know he's better than Cooper Rush, so he can do he can probably hit some of those things that we saw or we didn't see until we get the tape today or in previous weeks, right? So continue down this road with the identity and build on top of that. That's actually what I'm looking forward to. Not looking forward, but keep my eye on to see how that happens. And of course, I also want to see just how pissed off the defense is going to be because them boys really take getting scored on personally.
And then at the end of this game, it kind of got a little bit testy.
It got chippy, yeah.
It got a little chippy. You saw Nick Sirianni. He was saying some things to some players on the field. And who was it, Osa, that got into it with Kelsey?
Osa picked somebody up and dumped him.
It was Jason Kelsey. And then Tristan Hill after the game getting into a little skerfluffle. So they should be a little bit fired up coming into this week, and they'll be back at home next week against the Detroit Lions, and that's going to be a good game too because you know why? Dan Campbell's going to come in here and try to get physical. I don't know of how good and how well it's going to work, but Dan Campbell, who is a former Dallas Cowboy, he's going to want to go out there and beat the Cowboys on their home field. So just know that's going to be a physical matchup.
Yeah, looking ahead just a little bit based off of the film I watched against the Eagles, they may not run the RPO stuff, but they do run some really good post-snap action in the run game. So this is going to be another test against a team that runs the ball pretty decently. So we'll get there, man, but appreciate y'all for being here at Cowboys Nation. We can't quite relax because we got the law. Look, I have my shades ready too, man. I have my shades ready for this one, but it's cool. They got to come back to the crib right over there at AT&T Stadium around Christmas time, and things could be a little bit different. We're going to see. Appreciate y'all for being Cowboys Nation. Check us out. Check me out tomorrow, A to Z Sports Dallas in the morning. We'll have the phone lines open. We'll talk about all this. They can find you.
Hanging with the boys, 1 p.m. Central Time. You and I will be back on Wednesday.
Should be.
Should be. Should be. You and I will be back on Wednesday, and then I got Believe Monday and Friday. So find me all over the place.
All right, man. We'll get out of here. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night, and see you tomorrow. Peace.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and L.